Hello, everyone, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk. I'm your host, John Rocha, and on today's show, Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One takes us into a world of imagination. Pacific Rim Uprising is tearing up another city. Robert Pattinson might be buying a Lighthouse. Arnie is finally the president. And Sony might be regretting not doing some impulse buying at the studio checkout store. Joining me today is the man who has a robots fetish for some reason, Dennis Tzeng.
You talk about me having a robots fetish. You're the Transformer obsessed. I'm happy to be here. It's Friday. We got the Friday feel going on. Black Panther opens today. I'm sure a bunch of you saw it last night. I went to a cool event. We'll talk about some other cool events happening with Black Panther that we're doing. Just happy to talk about movies today.
Absolutely. Went and saw it a second time. Got so much to say later on. And the Superman and Yodi himself, Mark David Douglas, Stephen Reilly. I don't know what your middle name is.
Sure, I'll take all those middle names. Hey, here's the thing. I'm on with you and you for Pacific Rim.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, strap in.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. This is going to be great. I'm excited.
And making her return to Movie Talk, the lovely and beautiful Sinead DeVries.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
Hey, Sinead.
I can hear my Twitter blowing up already, and it feels so good. But no, I'm super excited to be here, you guys, and talk movies with you. It's been a while. I have so much to say about so many things. I'm so excited.
Too long. It's been too long.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's jump into it. Warner Brothers released a new Ready Player One trailer yesterday, giving us an even better look at the upcoming film that was tailor-made for Steven Spielberg. It's packed with 80s nostalgia and an endless amount of Easter eggs that are in the new trailer. And now, could this be the return to form for Steven Spielberg? That's the big question people are asking, whose beloved films from the 80s and 90s were a big deal. And Ready Player One opens on March 29th. Now, I took a look at this thing. I really enjoyed it, going back into this world that I've seen. This is the second or third trailer for this film. You get you get Hello Kitty in this thing. You get the T-Rex, the return of the Back to the Future car, and you get a little more of the story. Right? We hear more about Oasis. Ben Mendelsohn's a little more involved. He very, very clearly is the villain. And what is all this whole thing that's involved with Oasis? Right? Because the entire world sets on a virtual reality treasure hunt for an Easter egg he hid somewhere within the program. So the movie itself is a video game within a video game. So there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of levels it's working on. The question is, Mark, what did you think about this trailer, this new one?
I love the trailer. I mean, the more I see about it, I've read the book, so when you see this new trailer, I'm starting to see the story finally to come out. And hopefully now they're going to pump the brakes a bit on the trailers. We don't need to see much more, in my opinion. But it really does seem like this is tailor-made. It was said there, tailor-made for Spielberg. We got the T-Rex, so now we got a little Easter egg for his own movies. Right. Of course, we have the DeLorean. Alan Silvestri's doing the score, so I'm sure we're going to get that Back to the Future theme in this thing. I mean, look, I'm going to say something that I like. Spielberg is a master. He's masterful, right? But I miss these type of movies from him. I haven't like. I love Lincoln. The Post was fantastic.
Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong. I like his serious side, but I miss the Spielberg of like the Jurassic Parks or the E.T. or the Indiana Jones, right? I miss that Spielberg. I think this is him coming back to give us that fun. Because I want that back. Even the Minority Report Spielberg. I can't wait to see this movie. It looks fantastic.
All right, you make great points. Dennis, do you feel the same way? Does this feel like a going back to the 80s, 90s type of Spielberg? Or does this feel like maybe it's not quite there when you're watching the trailer, the magic itself?
Well, I mean, the trailer itself, I really enjoyed. Okay. Yes, there are a lot of throwbacks to a lot of old stuff, even some new stuff. You saw the Spartans from Halo.
Yeah.
In there.
That was awesome.
I have on this show talked about Spielberg and how lately, even though I've liked his movies, I haven't loved his movies. Probably the last movie I actually loved of his was probably Catch Me If You Can. That's like 2002. I did really like The Post, and I think that was in a good direction. So maybe this will be another place where he's kind of like, look, I know people are going to think this is weird, but like with M. Night Shyamalan, it's not like Spielberg went like the M. Night Shyamalan. But M. Night Shyamalan, he kind of had that come back with The Visit, And then after he followed up with Split, maybe Spielberg with The Post, and then now with this he's on an upward trajectory. At least for me. I mean, I'm not saying he has that dip, but I think maybe that he's going back to his old form.
Well, you stick around long enough, your career is going to go up and down no matter what you do. It's about staying in Hollywood as long as possible so you can have multiple comebacks. We've seen that with actors and directors all through the history of Hollywood. It seems like Spielberg, it's just a nice choice, like a nice switch from The Post to go into this. And you mentioned some things you saw in there. Iron Giant's in there. We see a little more with him. We see Red Lion and Planet Doom from Voltron is in there. And you're right about the Halo. But if you notice what Ty Sheridan is wearing when he's his avatar, he's wearing Buckaroo Banzai clothes, which is an awesome. To those of us who grew up in the '80s, that's an awesome reference. Sinead, for you, you're timeless. What did you think when you saw this trailer for the movie?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought, first of all, I love Easter eggs in any movie. It gets you excited. It's super fun to watch and kind of pick out little things. Obviously, I'm not as familiar with all of these characters and properties as you guys are, but there were some things that really hit home. So that was really cool. But I'm just super stoked. I feel like this, I forgot who said it. I feel like this is the perfect movie. I think you did, to come after The Post for Spielberg, because I really liked The Post. That was great. But this looks like so much fun. My little brother's been bugging the crap out of me about this movie. He's like, when are we going to go see it? Are you going to see it with me? Are you going to see it with me? Because I think that it's going to appeal to a lot of people. Because even my dad was like, dude, this looks really interesting. But the soundtrack, this last trailer, the Willy Wonka throwback, I don't ever think of that song as being from any other thing than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But that song, just the feel of the whole trailer was kind of creepy almost, but it felt like I was watching the trailer to a 90s movie, which I really appreciated. So I'm super stoked.
And I think that's interesting about the trailer. It does have, obviously, reference to current with the VR, and it's set in 2045, and you have all this stuff. But then you have references, and I think you bring up a great point, Sinead, multiple generations of people. It goes, you even see the Cyclops from the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. So if you're over 50, you get that reference. So it's those kinds of little things that are appeal. So it's a smart move by Spielberg to throw all this in. And Ernest Cline, who wrote the book, is also part of writing the screen, or took part in the screenplay. Yeah, co-writing the screenplay. So how much of these references from the book that he's throwing in, some of the newer references. So there's a lot in here to satisfy a number of generations. So it's a smart move money-wise for the studio to play it this way. But the thing is, are they going to be able to bring this all together and make it work? Because it feels like Wreck-It Ralph, right? That area where they go through this train station and all the different video games show up. My only concern is I don't know if Ty Sheridan makes me excited to see the movie, and he's our protagonist. And I don't feel that kind of magic from him that I've felt from other Spielberg kids in his movies. What do you think, Dan?
Do you not like Ty Sheridan, or do you not just like him in this trailer?
No, in this trailer.
Okay,
I was like,
he was fantastic in Mud. He's a good actor. Maybe in the beginning of the trailer, but I think the second half of this trailer sold me, because now you get to see the kind of more serious and dramatic side to it. Because at first it seemed a little more fluffy, My main concern is the VR aspect of it, because VR. Anytime someone plays like an avatar or is an avatar, it's very hard to get emotionally connected to that, because is what they're doing, is it going to feel real? Are the consequences and stakes going to feel real? Because you saw them run around the street with the thing, and they're mimicking what's happening in the VR world. So if someone dies in the VR world, is someone going to die in the real world? So that's what I'm most apprehensive about. Am I going to care about the characters?
Yeah.
Well, have you guys read the book? Has anybody read the book?
No.
Yeah. See, the thing that I love the trailer. I'm like everybody, where you go, look at that, there's the T-Rex. Look at that, there's the DeLorean. But what I feel the trailers are doing is relying on these Easter eggs instead of really showing. But that's hard for a trailer to do. So what you're picking up on, Rocha, is I don't think we've got enough of Wade's story. But when you read the book, he's front and center. You're in his thoughts, so you care so much about him. I haven't seen it from the trailers yet. Because they're doing a marketing campaign to show and get all these nerds excited to see your favorite references in these movies. And they're not showing us the inner workings of Wade Watt's head. So hopefully that movie does that, and it's not reliant on, here's an Easter egg to keep you going. Here's an Easter egg to keep you excited. But for fans of the book, the story, the stakes. The real world stakes versus the VR, what you were referencing, Dennis. So I trust in Spielberg to find that balance, because any other director, I think, will use these Easter eggs as a crutch.
Yeah.
And then you have an empty, like you have a cotton candy experience where you go, I love that. Oh, gosh, sugar rush, nothing left after. So I hope that's not the case. It's Spielberg, so I have all the faith in the world.
Yeah, with E.T., with Hook, he does put that heart in these movies. And of course, you're seeing other material, you're seeing other references, but it's the heart that sells you. Are you sensing that when you watch this trailer? Are you sensing a lot of the backstory or a connection to this character, the Ty Sheridan's character?
Well, you know what's funny is like I didn't really think about it too much until you just said it. To be honest, so it obviously didn't bother me that much, right? But I can kind of see where you're coming from. I guess like Dennis said in the beginning of the trailer, I did notice it was a little kind of like matter of fact, like the way that he was setting it up was a little matter of fact, because I almost felt like, all right, well, where are we going with this? But I almost feel like I just automatically in my head, I made the same thought that Reilly did. Like, this is a marketing campaign. They have to show this off. Like, we've seen this so many times.
Yeah,
you watch a trailer, you watch the movie. That's not even like half of the stuff that's in the trailer are not in the movie, or they're totally changed, or the lines are different. You're just like, what happened? Because it's understandable. Like, they make a trailer for a trailer. They don't make a trailer to show you really truly what you're gonna go see.
Right.
They make a trailer to get you to go see it, right? So, like, just subconsciously, I already know that, so I'd never really take trailers too seriously. I've just conditioned myself not to, because I have been so disappointed in the past when I have. So, to me, I think I just forgive it. I'm just like, all right, this entertained me, and for the sheer fact of just looking at this as a trailer, it's enough for me to go see the movie.
Yeah.
Like, depending on who's in it, depending on this, whatever. Like, I just enjoyed myself for 2 minutes. I like this. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. And the Easter eggs just kind of like sealed it, because that, like I said, that might be a personal thing, but that gets me super stoked.
Well, and that's all you could ask for from a trailer, is to get you excited to go in the theater. And a lot of us are, but there is a little bit of backlash online. So we'll see what happens when the film comes out. We'll see what the reviews are, what the audience score is, and how many people actually go and want to go back into a world of imagination from Steven Spielberg. Well, from world imagination to real facts, Sony. The big news came out yesterday through the Wall Street Journal that Sony passed on purchasing the entire MCU. Sony Pictures back in 1998 passed on this, purchasing the entire Marvel character catalog for a price described as dirt cheap. The characters that ultimately made up the current MCU was offered to Sony by Marvel. While negotiations were underway to bring Spider-Man to the screen, Marvel was nearing financial bankruptcy at the time and offered Sony characters like Iron Man, Black Panther, and Guardians of the Galaxy for $25 million. Whoa. That's it.
Whoa.
That's it. And they just sold recently. Disney bought them for $4 billion. So you want to talk about, I should have got that stock. It would have raised so high. This is a huge news to come out. But we also have to remember that at this time, it's not like superhero movies were like sweeping the box off and making all this kind of money. It had been like every 2 decades, there was a good superhero movie. Then it made a lot of money. And then people like studios kind of came close and did one and saw what happened. And then Sony did go on and have success with their Spider-Man, which I think they paid around $10 million for. Yeah. So they made their money in that way. But it's very interesting to think about how, like, what this would have done, what the Sony MCU would have looked like, because there have been some diminishing returns with the Spider-Man stuff, and then we're seeing Venom stuff now, we're seeing all this stuff with Silver and Black, we're seeing all this stuff kind of happen, but not a lot of people are super excited about what they're doing. So the question is, what would they have done if they had gotten this chance? You know, when Yair Lando was the Sony Pictures executive, he said he was unimpressed by the deal. He said nobody gives a bleep about any other Marvel characters, go back and do a deal for only Spider-Man. So that's all they were seeing at the time.
Whoops.
I mean, Dennis, when you hear this thing, especially because there were 17 Marvel films, I mean, 18 now, we don't know the box office fully yet for Black Panther, but 17 of these Marvel movies, they've grossed $13.5 billion. Does Sony have like non-buyer's remorse here? What is your feeling when you hear this story?
Well, of course they have non-buyer's remorse, but I mean, you can't really blame them for not buying the property. This is a good, fun story to hear, but at the time you mentioned, look, 1998, at that time, what were the superhero movies that hit big? What, 89 Batman.
Yeah.
You had Batman Returns. You had The Crow.
Yeah, Blade, I think a little bit.
Blade,
Yeah.
right? The Crow and Blade weren't even really considered superhero movies, like the way the audience went to go see them. So at that time, Spider-Man was and still is the face character of Marvel. And so it made sense that they wanted to go. And $25 million to us now seems like, oh, that's nothing. Back then, paying $25 million for the rights for characters that you didn't know what you could actually do with. We were all surprised that Marvel was able to turn someone like Iron Man, who, if people actually read comic books back then, he was like a B character. Not in terms of quality, but in terms of how well known he was, right? Thor, all of those characters. So I don't think you can go like, oh, Sony, you're so stupid. It's one of those things like, no, because that's like me going like, oh man, I should have bought a bunch of Bitcoin like how many years ago and it would have been dirt cheap. It's like, oh yeah, of course. Now hindsight is always 20/20. So I wouldn't put too much on Sony's fault, but I agree with you. It doesn't mean that we would have gotten the MCU that we have now. Because of, you've seen the Spider-Man franchise in their hands have been a bunch of hits and a bunch of misses. And so if they had gotten the characters, who knows what would have happened? Maybe the comic book and superhero kind of trend right now wouldn't be as big as it is now.
Yeah, Sinead, you're a great consumer. You know how to find a good deal and pay get the best you can and bang for your buck. When you hear something like this, do you think Sony made the right move at the time, not purchasing the entire catalog and just buying Spider-Man?
I mean, the right move? No, the right move, like now that we know it's 20 years later, would have been to acquire the MCU because they would have been on top of the world. But the same way that Disney is. But you know what? Whatever. Like, it was 20 years ago. Like Dennis said, how the heck were they supposed to know any different? And like the biggest thing is $25 million in 1998 is a lot different than $25 million in 2018. So to them, that is a huge chunk of change. But yeah, and also I feel like the MCU, Marvel is where it's supposed to be. It's with who it's supposed to be. The right people are in charge because look at the movies we're getting. It's incredible. I don't know if it would be any better. I don't think so. If it was with Sony, I mean, I've blown up about the Amazing Spider-Man, was it 2?
2?
Many a time on this show because the last 5 minutes of that movie literally make me want to ram my head into the wall. So I've blown up about that before. It's one of those movies that just triggers me. Like when anybody mentions it, I'm like, I get like twitches because of how upset I get over that movie. So it's hard for me to be like, oh man, that could have been cool. Because what we did see was the bad of it was worse than the great of it, you know? Like, honestly. So right now I feel like Marvel's where it's at. It's doing fine. I will say, like, it makes me a little sad to know, because I'm sure we're going to keep finding out other companies that have kind of taken a little foray here and there into buying different properties that Disney has somehow come out with all of them. It makes me a little sad because I do believe that there should be more competition in this business. Like, the Fox deal really upset me because I'm like, all right, you guys, like, why are we acquiring everything? I'm like, you guys didn't call me, we didn't talk about this, and I'm just kidding. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, it does make me a little bit sad, and I know that now this news is coming out. You're gonna start hearing about other companies that, maybe almost bought this or maybe almost bought that, and then Disney just swooped in. Obviously, they have the money to be like, we want this, 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 and this, and this. It just makes me a little sad because we don't know any differently. We don't know what we don't know. We could have had a great MCU over at Sony. Like I said, I don't think so, but it's possible, right? These things could have happened. So I don't know. It's like, it's interesting to think about. I also think it's kind of dumb to think about because, like, what is the point when it's been 20 years and this is where we're at? But I don't know. Yeah,
well, when you look at Sony, they have the Men in Black franchise, right? They've got the Smurfs, so they've got properties, the James Bond stuff like this. So they've got properties that they've worked on that have been successful and made money for them overall. So, but this is, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, Mark. When you hear this story, when you read this story, when you think about Sony and their history of movies, do you think that we as overall benefited from the fact that Sony didn't buy the MCU back then?
Oh, yeah, we totally benefited. Look what we have. I mean, that's a fun what-if scenario if they bought the whole MCU. Obviously, you look at $10 million for Spider-Man, $25 million for the whole catalog, you know where they wanted to put their money and what they thought of Spider-Man, and what you reference is like, nope, he's the only character. And then Marvel, years later, gets that $500 million investment from Merrill Lynch, creates their own studio and puts all their power behind it and goes, nope, Iron Man is our guy. Here you go. And then, by the way, at the very end, we're setting up the MCU. I mean, it was unheard of. So you could do the what-if scenario with Sony. Would they have done the same thing? Or would they have done a Spider-Man movie, another Spider-Man movie, and then, we'll try Iron Man. Yeah. But it's not connected to the MCU. They're just going to make that over there and not have... I don't think they would have had the wherewithal to make a shared universe. Maybe they would have. I don't know. But then in 2000, 2 years later, we get X-Men. Yeah. And then that's what snowballed the superhero genre as we know it. Then we get Spider-Man, all these different things. But it's a fun what-if scenario. I make fun of somebody and said, whoops, oh no, you blew it. But everybody's made the point. Nobody knew. We weren't in the golden age of the superhero genre. So they're going to be like, 25 million is a lot of money. We don't want to necessarily invest in that because we don't see any, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Can you imagine Sony looking at that and being like, I don't know, who's this tree guy? Right. Spider-Man though, I get it. I get it. It is reverse buyer's remorse. I'm sure they're looking back and going, oh well, but
yeah, but why would you want to have your franchise your universe purchased by a guy who says nobody gives a crap about your other characters? I was just going to say, I wonder what
he thinks, right?
Only cares
He's
about
like,
Spider-Man.
man, I was a jabroni back then.
No, but I want to give credit to Ben. This comes out of Ben Fritz's book. You could probably pick it up, The Big Picture, The Fight for the Future of Movies. Those are great books to read when they've done thorough research. You understand the machinations. Look, you can blame Sony all you want, I guess, but how many of us would have thought that Kevin Feige and Marvel would have put this thing together? And, I mean, Marvel, remember, when they did Iron Man, they were taking a huge chance on themselves because they self-funded the movie. Favreau directed it, and it happened to be a hit. Then they happened to keep going. And Iron Man 2 wasn't that good of a movie, so it wasn't like they started out, knocking it out of the park like Pixar did before they had their first stumble. So it took some time to get it to where it is now, and now it's a great machine that has way more hits than misses. And so in the long run, I think it all worked out the way it was supposed to. And Sony did, in the end up working with Marvel anyway on the Spider-Man stuff. So everybody came out, I think, in the end in a good way. So let's move on to our new segment here, Agree or Disagree. That's right, sí or no. That's what I call it in Spanish. We're going to talk about these things, see if they disagree, the people on the panel, or agree on these topics that we got coming up. The first one we have is there's a new Pacific Rim Uprising IMAX trailer that was released online yesterday, showcasing all new footage from the upcoming sequel. Guillermo del Toro departed the director's chair to focus on Shape of Water, which I think might win the Best Picture, with Daredevil Season 1 showrunner Steven Spielberg taking on directing duties and co-writing the new story. The film stars John Boyega and hits theaters on March 23rd. Now, the first Pacific Rim made over $400 million worldwide, so that's why we got a sequel, even though it only made barely just over $100 million here in the States. Dennis, you saw this trailer.
Get into it, guys.
I want to go to you first.
Yeah.
As a Transformers fan, I want to go to you first about Pacific Rim Uprising. What did you think seeing this newest trailer for IMAX?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm a Transformers fan, but I'm a fan of the real Transformers, not the fake ones that you are.
How dare you say that?
Yeah, Dennis.
This trailer is the best one that Pacific Rim Uprising has put out so far.
Really?
It's glorious. You got all the Jaegers coming out. There's a giant kaiju. They're all teaming up to fight him. You have the Tupac song from Django Unchained playing in the background.
Yeah.
You get to see all the cool weapons, all the cool fighting. The only thing about this trailer I'm concerned about is if they're showing too much.
Yes.
If that giant kaiju that they're fighting at the end is the end sequence, which it might be, I'm like you should have saved a lot of it, but I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought they showed a little bit too much. That was my concern here. Like, we saw some new footage of them fighting in the snow, wherever that is going to happen. And yes, and then we saw those little creatures running up the kaiju's arms. So what does that mean? And how big is it? It's like massive when it stands up. So I read some of the comments online. A lot of people are complaining that the trailer might have showed too much. So I think you're right there. What did you think, Mark, when you saw this?
Well, I agree with Dennis. It was the best look so far. It was the most excited I've been, and then it did that thing. And that's what we're almost a month out, March 23rd.
Yeah.
So here goes the marketing machine going, you really want to see this, especially this little snippet at the end when they take on the big kaiju and all the Jaegers are together. That's the end scene. I'm sure of it. And it does kind of take the wind out of me a bit where you're like, oh, I didn't want to see everything. You could say Ready Player One is doing the same thing. The other day we did the Rampage trailer reaction, and I thought they showed their hand. The end again. They kind of these marketing campaigns do that, and I just get used to it. Now I'm just like kind of numb to it. We have to watch these things for our job, but I really enjoyed it. I did see a little too much. I think you can now go, okay, we're good. But we're going to probably get like 15 TV spots now from now until March 23rd.
Yeah, you mentioned there's a lot of action in the movie. Sinead, was there enough character development? Do you feel that there was enough character development? We were talking about this in Ready Player One. Do you feel you got enough with John Boyega, enough of his background in this trailer? Like in any of the trailers, really, but especially this one.
I mean, I guess, right?
Sure.
That's really not what they're focusing on as their main. I feel like maybe in the beginning, the first trailer, there was a little bit more of like heart and soul in it than there is now. But yeah, also like I'm so biased. Like I would see John Boyega like run around wearing a potato sack for an hour and a half. You know,
I want to see that movie.
That's his next movie.
He's just like, come see me run around in a potato sack. I'd be like, I am there. But I'm serious. So it's hard for me because I'm just like, I've already like, just when I see him act anything, I'm like, oh, he's really feeling this right now. So, but yeah, I guess so. Comparatively, sure, I get there's more character development in what I've seen from Pacific Rim than what I've seen from Ready Player One.
Interesting.
But generally, both movies, this one too, they're marketing towards all the action and things like that. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take the first trailer, recycle it, add a couple of words you didn't hear, and then re-release it. You're not supposed to add in things, because you know what it does? It just makes me nervous that the movie's not that good, because now you're showing what really looks like the end of the movie. So, like Reilly said, you really want to go see this. That's what I felt like they were screaming at me the whole time.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's next month. Don't forget, go see it, because we don't have that much confidence in it.
Right.
That's why we're showing you all these things that you haven't seen before. How are you showing us brand new footage a month before the movie comes out? That should happen like a few months before the movie comes out, and then you just recycle that. Well, don't give new information, don't give new scenes, and definitely don't show the end of the movie, even the last 30 minutes of the movie, unless it's like a line or a montage. Yeah. You know, it just makes me a little. It makes me a little weary.
Do you agree with Sinead, Dennis? Is them showing all this extra footage and it feels like a little too much? Is them being afraid that the film is not as good as they thought it was going to be?
Potentially, and especially in the way that they showed it, because it was like more like showing an actual scene from it. Like, look, some of us have seen Black Panther already in the trailer. I won't mention which ones if you haven't seen it or the movie already. There's like spoiler shots in it, but you can't tell because it's done in a quick cut, right?
Or like just a montage.
Yeah, they cut it.
And it's out of sequence,
yeah,
so you don't know where it lands.
It looks like it could be in the beginning of the movie.
Sure,
So
yeah.
this is an actual scene, right? And we're just guessing and speculating that this is the end of the movie, but it sure looks like it, right? So yeah, that's gives me a little apprehension.
Yeah, I have a lot of apprehension now watching this trailer, because I just thought it was all action to get you in the theaters and not doing any character development. We know he's the son of Idris Elba's character, Pentecost, from the first film. We see that. We know Scott Eastwood's in this thing, but we don't know what their relationship is. We don't know how he becomes the pilot. We don't know how we don't know how they all got together. We don't know why they're all doing this. So I know they're being attacked.
You gotta watch the movie for that.
It's I guess. I need something to hook onto, but I didn't feel that way. Something we could possibly hook onto is Robert Eggers, the Lighthouse, has added Robert Pattinson. He signed on to join Willem Dafoe in the fantasy horror movie The Lighthouse from the Witch director Robert Eggers. RT Features and A24 are behind the project, which will head into production this spring, from a script by Robert and Max Eggers with a story set in the world of old seafaring myths. A release date has not been targeted at this time. Sinead DeVries.
Yeah.
When you hear that Robert Pattinson is coming back to do some fantasy stuff, as a massive Twilight fan, does this excite you to see this? And you talk about a Lighthouse and Willem Dafoe.
Yes, I was just looking up. I just wanted to make sure I had my news right, my celebrity news. But the biggest news I heard about Rob Pattinson was the fact that he was spotted out with...
Kristen Stewart?
With Kristen Stewart.
We're not going to talk about it. We're talking about the movie.
Yeah, they were spotted hanging out together. It's drama. Everybody's talking about it. So I think that because that's the biggest news I've heard about Rob Pattinson, that this is really good. Because I kind of miss him on screen. The Twilight movies are like... I just hate that... I hate that that was really his first foray into Hollywood, because... nobody deserves to have that as your first furry Twilight. I'm not a real girl, you guys. Like, you know, so I just like, I want him to do like hit after hit after hit and to really redeem himself. I'm not a real girl, so I don't like to swoon over the Twilight movies. I find them really funny. I think they're a good like conversation starter for a date movie because you'll both laugh your butts off. I haven't seen 50 Shades yet. Like that's the type of person I am. So I just, when I see him, I'm like, all right, come on, because he does have some chops. I would just like to see them. You know what I'm saying? Because what I have seen here and there is fine. I just wish that we didn't always, you know, bring it back to Twilight.
Well, have you seen Good Time?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
He broke out of the Twilight for me. And so this is exciting now because coming off a Good Time and then Eggers with The Witch, and then we're getting seafaring mythology and a great title, The Lighthouse. It kind of tells me everything I need to know that Pattinson's probably a lighthouse keeper and there's creatures or seafaring mythology can cover a lot of ground, whether it be, you know, sirens, mermaids, sea creatures, what have you. Oh boy, Robert Eggers. Okay, I'm so in. Go see Good Time because Pattinson breaks out of the Twilight, and I really hope he's not back together with Kristen Stewart.
I mean, she's got a girl. So
well, listen, both of them have really broken out in their own ways separately. I mean, Kristen Stewart with Clouds of Silmara is fantastic, and then yeah, you're right, Good Time is incredible. Dennis, do you agree that this is the right next step for him to kind of go back into this fantasy genre horror type
Robert
stuff?
Eggers?
Yeah, no, Robert Eggers and Robert Pattinson.
Okay,
this combination.
I think with Robert Pattinson, he's kind of much like K-Stu. He's going off on his own, doing smaller movies. I mean, you guys mentioned Good Time. Also, he did a movie, Rover, with Guy Pearce that he was really good in. So I think maybe not to the general public, he's broken out and separated himself from Twilight, but I think people who watch kind of these smaller movies know that he actually does have acting chops and he can do other things. As far as Robert Eggers, yeah, I really like The Witch. It was very tension-filled. He did the atmosphere great, and I think he's going to do the same thing with this type of story. So I think it's not like this movie's going to be like a huge, you know, giant hit, but I think it'll be one of those kind of like The Witch, where it's like, hey, it makes some good money for, especially for the budget.
And this is A24 again.
Yeah, it's A24. Yeah, and I'm a little offended that you're putting Robert Eggers in the fantasy realm of Twilight. And
no, I just meant Pattinson.
He's coming back into like Twilight and The Witch are
no, of course they are. I just meant that Pattinson.
I'm kidding. I know
being
that.
together with.
Let's hope we do not get some sparkly lighthouse keeper that's keeping out the vampires.
Well, and this isn't based on a book, so this is going to be an original script, from what I understand. And actually, I think Hollywood Reporter was reporting that Willem Dafoe is going to be the lighthouse keeper. So Robert Pattinson is probably going to have to like interact with this guy, and he's going to tell him the stories, and then they're going to work together, maybe to fight off something. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I like this as a next step for Robert Pattinson, and I like that they're doing the smart thing, building the groundwork from smaller films to bigger films. Well, moving on to another smaller film, kind of. Charlize Theron is Ruthless in this new trailer for Gringo. I said that right, Gringo. Amazon Studios and STX Films have released the final trailer for the upcoming dark comedy, directed by Nash Edgerton, who is Joel Edgerton's brother. The film stars David Oyelowo as a mild-mannered American businessman facing crushing debt who ventures to Mexico to hand-deliver a formula for a revolutionary new weed pill to a lab. Charlize Theron and Joel Edgerton do co-star in the film. Also, you get Sharlto Copley. You get Amanda Seyfried. The film opens on March 9th, so a little less than a month from now. Mark Reilly, when you see this film, do you like this for Charlize Theron coming off Atomic Blonde? Do you like this choice for her?
Yeah, she stood out a lot in this. Not only her, but the entire cast. This trailer kind of surprised me. I don't know why I've missed. They say this is the final trailer. This is the first time I've seen something from Gringo. And
oh, wow.
I was like, yeah, I'm in. Oyelowo looks hysterical to me. He just looks fish out of water, screaming and yelling, not knowing what to do. And of course I believe in God. Who doesn't? And then Sharlto Copley is like nailed with the car. I thought that was hysterical. He's like, well, I sort of believe. And then boom, he's taken out. And I was waiting for Oyelowo's character to go, see? But it's that kind of humor that I love. I love Charlize in this, and Joel Edgerton looks great. I didn't know it was his brother. This is fantastic. Joel Edgerton is also dipping his toe into directing. The Gift was fantastic.
Yes.
So Edgerton's family, pretty talented here. This looks great.
Yeah, and Nash has done a lot of work on film, on camera. He's also directed some shorts for music videos for Bob Dylan, and he's also done stunts for numerous projects. Now, Reilly brings up a good point, Dennis. David Oyelowo, we're used to seeing him do dramas like Selma. Seeing him play something like this, was this an incredible thing for you to watch?
It was a nice change, and he sold it well. I mean, I actually laughed a lot at him in the trailer. My favorite part, though, was Charlize Theron going, can we get him to go down on the price? And Amazon's model is different than Netflix's, where Netflix, when they release the movie like A Beast of No Nation, it's like kind of a day and date thing, right? Netflix doesn't typically release in theater. They go straight, but once in a while, something like Beast of No Nation, they have it come out, but it's also available. Amazon does it differently, like with Manchester by the Sea. And The Big Sick, like they release in theaters first for a few months, then it comes to their service. So maybe this is a movie not everyone's going to run out to see in the theaters, but seeing this on, in the comfort of your home might be very tempting.
Yeah, do you agree with Dennis, Sinead?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I 100% agree with that. This seems like a movie you watch at home. Yeah. But who knows? Like, maybe it'll be so good, we're like, all right, we need to go see this in theaters, or we should have seen this in theaters, because this trailer is great. Like, this trailer's so funny. And I don't know, man. Like, Amazon's knocking it out of the park. I feel like that should already be enough to get people to pretty much like look into anything that they come out with. Their TV shows are killing it. Their movies are killing it. So, I mean, The Big Sick was one of the biggest upsets for awards of the entire year last year. So I feel like when Amazon releases something, we should probably just go watch it at this point, honestly. And this trailer, I mean, like, this trailer's great regardless, but just because it's Amazon, they know how to pick the people to take over these movies. So probably just check it out.
I would agree. This trailer does look great. I've seen every trailer for it, Reilly. I really enjoyed the this whole cast, and what this film gives you the vibe of, like something like those old films, the 80s and 90s, where you have like Romancing the Stone, those kinds of things, where they go out, they go fish out of water type thing. So this feels interesting, and you've got a very strong cast to bring it home. And I trust Nash Edgerton as a director. He's got a good track record. Well, speaking of a good track record, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's right. He's stepping in. They just announced this, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Schwarzenegger has joined the cast of Kung Fury. So you're getting Fassbender, Hasselhoff, and Schwarzenegger in one movie. It's this feature-length follow-up to the cult 2015 short. It's the trailers reporting that Schwarzenegger will play the American president. Finally, which people have been clamoring for a long time, Arnold Schwarzenegger as president. When he was governor of California, he first became governor, a lot of people were saying they wanted him to become president. Now, the original Kung Fury was an over-the-top homage to 80s martial arts and action, police action films. So this is going to be interesting because it's going to start filming in Europe and America this summer, but no release date has been set. Dennis Tzeng, when you hear that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be the American president in a film like this, does this make you want to go see a feature-length version of Kung Fury more, like a sequel?
It does make me want to see it more. I'm a little concerned. I enjoyed the short. It's 30 minutes. It's a lot of over-the-top fun. You got like Triceracop. They got like they kill Hitler. They
don't tell JT.
It's a lot of cool stuff in there. I just don't know if it can sustain for a full-length feature film. That's my biggest concern. But if they're casting Arnold Schwarzenegger as the president, he's not just going to be sitting there behind a desk, right? He's going to be the American president that runs out there with double machine guns shooting whatever, evil, villain, whether it's like a terrorist or whatever they can think of. It's probably going to be something in the past, because the first one they go back into time. So I think it's a good fit just because it's like that over-the-top, cheesiness from the 80s. Plus, there's a lot of video game vibe in there as well.
Do you agree with Dennis? Because the last time we saw a president kicking some butt was Barry Bostwick when he was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And if you ever saw that small film where he starts fighting against the Nazis himself from his wheelchair. Really insane type of stuff. So it's a weird little small film you could find. I can't remember the name of it, but Barry Bostwick played Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I mean, he wasn't a vampire hunter like Abraham Lincoln, but this is something else. Reilly, when you hear this, do you agree with Dennis? Do you think Schwarzenegger fits in this, and does it make you want to go see this?
I mean, I want to see this just based on the shorts. I don't think we're going to be getting some, deep discussion on whatever. This thing is going to be just crazy, and the casting of Schwarzenegger. Now, are we going to get Schwarzenegger with his accent, like being just hamming it up as the president, or is he going to put on a really bad American, like Texas accent, go, hey y'all, and come out with the guns? That'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to probably play it straight. He's going to be. I almost picture McBain from The Simpsons. Because he, I think, sooner or later was president in an episode of The Simpsons, like a movie inside The Simpsons. So it's that kind of vibe that I'm getting, and it's perfect. I mean, everybody I saw when this casting announcement came out, everybody's like, "Of course, this is what the movie is. Of course, Schwarzenegger's in this, and of course, he's playing the American president." So, sign me up. Yeah, I want to see this.
All right, now. The American president, he's going to do the things that he's doing here in Kung Fury. You hear all these, he's going to have references to 80s action films. We saw this in Ready Player One, references to geek stuff from the 80s and 90s and before and after. Sinead, when you see something like this, have you seen the short?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So does this excite you that Schwarzenegger is joining a project like this?
Sure. I mean, it was either going to be him or it was going to be The Rock, right? It was
it's very true.
One out of two people that could have landed this gig. But I would say what I was reading about it, because I did a little bit of research, but what I was reading about it when this came out the other day was if they just keep this as over the top as it is, it's going to be a great movie, you know? Like the same way I felt about San Andreas, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie. I love it. It's so bad, it's great, you know? So, like, if they just keep this over the top, then I do think that they can sustain this for a full hour and a half, 2 hours, if they just take it for what it is. Arnold Schwarzenegger as the president, I mean, like, let's be real. Does he even know how to do a Texas accent? That might be the best part of the whole movie.
I know. That's what I'm hoping, too, is that he tries on some ridiculous
accent. Didn't even think about that until you said that. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I honestly don't think he's physically capable of it, which is why I really
should do
hope
it.
He does it. Exactly.
Absolutely. And every line is a one-liner.
Yeah.
Like, you've been vetoed, or whatever it may be, you know.
Wow. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is not passing the Congress. Yeah, listen, okay, I'm going to see what's going to happen here because Fassbender, this is an interesting, like everyone else, you can see why they're in this, but Fassbender's an interesting choice. So I wonder, I'm going to see how this plays out. It gives me a little bit of concern for his career and maybe his agency. Yeah, Fassbender. Yeah, this seems a little bit Robert Rodriguez territory with the Machete films. All right, well, you guys know we do answering your live Twitter questions here on Collider Movie Talk. Will you please send in your Twitter questions to @ColliderVideo? We will see if we can get to one or two before the end of the show. But let's do some plugs. Ash versus Evil Dead. That's right, Ladies Night. If you have not seen this new episode of Collider Ladies Night, Bruce Campbell stops by to build some Valentine's Day cards with the lovely Sinead DeVries and Perry Nemiroff. You had a great time with him, I'm sure.
Oh, he's the best.
Right? Very funny.
The coolest guy in the world.
Right. And he pulls off yellow. Not a lot of people can pull off yellow, and he pulls it off really, really well. Also, there is a Schmodown, a celebrity Schmodown with Ash versus Evil Dead coming out today, I think. Is that right, Dennis? We've got Bruce Campbell is going to be involved in this. We've got Dana DiLorenzo, I think, right? And Santiago's in there. So Ray Santiago's in this as well. So, and then we've got John Schnepp and Whitney Siebold in there.
Actually, it's up already.
It is up. Okay, it is up. So go and catch that on the channel. There'll be an all-new Schmodown later today is Ellis and Snyder. That was my fault. That's going to come up later on today. And this Friday, Black Panther Unmasked, brought to you by Brisk, an immersive new experience by the creators of Black Panther. It starts Friday, February 16th in downtown LA, starting at noon. So if you're here, go take a look at it. Dennis, you went and got a preview of it last night. Is that right?
Yeah, so this is an open event to the public. You can go either today or tomorrow. We prefer you go tomorrow because we are actually going to do a live movie talk there. Mark Ellis is going to be there, John Schnepp, Joel. I'm going to be there. A few other Collider people are going to be there. We're going to do a live show. We're interviewing the costume designer, Ruthie Carter, who did a fantastic job with Black Panther. They've got a bunch of costumes in there. You can, if you check out like my Instagram or the Collider Video Instagram, you can see that we all took pictures on the thrones. They have the Wakanda throne there. You can take pictures with. They have a lot of cool like activities in there. And it's sponsored by I think Brisk and for Black Panther, Marvel doing it. Once again.
Yeah, and it looks. I can't wait to go down there. It looks like it's going to be a blast, and I'm going to get down as soon as I can there tomorrow. So, and speaking of Black Panther, so we got so many videos here coming out. We just dropped last night. We got the spoiler review that was dropped there, and then we have the end credits explained review. And if you don't want to have anything spoiled, you can watch the non-spoiler review, which I did with Jay Washington. So there's a lot, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got so many Black Panther videos coming out. Do we have any coming out over the weekend, maybe, or starting Monday?
Our mailbags have some Black Panther themes to them, and then we'll have more on
stuff
Monday.
Next week.
on Monday, it's President's Day here.
Yeah.
We still have some stuff coming out, some videos, but we won't be live on Monday.
Right. So we'll have some, but you'll get to relax and enjoy yourself on President's Day. Maybe go see Black Panther again if you've already seen it. That would be a blast.
Or just see it, you know.
Yeah, Sinead.
Just see it.
Just maybe see it, Sinead.
Everybody's
As the only African on the panel, you should maybe.
I know. I'm letting us all down. I get it.
All right. Well, Terry McGinnis sent us a question here. With Carnage set to appear in the Venom film and now having seen the trailer, do you think Carnage will be a main story point or will he make a quick appearance setting up a sequel?
Quick appearance, set up sequel.
Okay.
That's what my feeling is. It's going to be focused, I think, on probably Eddie Brock. Tom Hardy's character is probably going to deal internally with the symbiote, maybe kind of walk that line of the anti-hero. Maybe I feel like with the trailer we got, I feel like it's like government versus him on the run to save the symbiote, and then it's going to set up at the end Carnage. But that's just my speculation.
All right. And another one from, what do you think? What do you think? Sorry, I was just jumping
I just
ahead.
dropped the mic there. No, you guys can't say anything else.
I mean, I agree. I don't think that, don't know. This trailer was, are we all in agreement that this trailer was kind of garbage?
Well,
yeah, the trailer was kind of, I mean, that was a big thing that came out. And in fact, I think a lot of people started wanting to boycott the film.
Yeah.
They made like another Facebook
good.
page, boycott this film, there's no symbiote. I think people wanted to see Venom,
which is sad. Like I don't even know if I care.
I think if they'd showed him in the symbiote, people would have a stronger reaction, caring or not caring. But the meh reaction is the last thing you want from a trailer. Dennis, did you like the trailer overall?
I mean, I didn't think it was garbage, but I was disappointed.
You said that.
I was disappointed that we didn't get to see the actual Venom character with Eddie Brock and the suit. But yeah, as far as Carnage is concerned, we don't need to see him in the first one.
Yeah.
Throw the hints in there and set him up for a sequel if there is a sequel. I'll hold judgment till a full trailer comes out and see what they do. I thought they maybe not would have shown the whole suit, but just like at least a glimpse of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's showing too much. You're gonna fall into that trap with Spider films where they put too many Spider-Man films. They put too many characters in there, and it kills the film. All right, one last Twitter question. @BlueLeafs13 asks, the top 2 viewed trailers all time in the first 24 hours are Infinity War and It. In your opinion, which is the better trailer, and what criteria made that trailer better? Quickly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, everybody's going to maybe go to Infinity War, but for me, it was It. Because I haven't, as the horror-loving fan, as a fan of the book, it shocked me how good it was because the first look we got at Pennywise, we were on Collider Nightmares, and it was him popping out of the sewer, and it looked ridiculous. It was an EW spread. It was our first look at Pennywise, and it was kind of like, hi! And I was like, oh gosh, I hope this is not... And then the trailer came out, and I'm like, wow, because everybody had the miniseries in their mind, and Tim Curry doing Pennywise. So with this... It was a great indication of what we're going to get in the final movie. Infinity War, it's just because we're hyped to see this and Thanos and it's all together. And so, but I've seen a million Marvel trailers. So as much as I was completely hyped for Infinity War, it was something different and got me in a different way.
Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, Infinity War, I'm biased because, I read the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline in the comic book. So like to see that in this movie version of it was like something I thought I'd never see. But I would say it made more of a difference because, like Reilly says, we're all going to go see Infinity War no matter what. It was something that, I'm not a big horror fan, that the trailer changed people's minds. It actually made it turned something that could have been really bad, like you said, from that EW picture, like... Not a lot of people had it on the radar, but the trailer was so good that people were suddenly excited to see this thing. So I think the It one made a bigger impact, even though I'm looking more forward to Infinity War.
Sinead, as someone who doesn't go see movies in theaters, did either one of these 2 trailers, which one of them stood out for you?
I saw it in theaters. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sinead.
As my mom would say, you guys need to go jump in the lake because the Infinity War trailer is by far the greatest trailer I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Whoa.
Wow.
I cried.
Wow.
I cried. I watched it at least like 47 times. This is why, technically speaking, like if you look at like the technicality of making a trailer, this trailer is so loaded. The Infinity trailer has so much going on in it. They show you so much without showing you one single thing. Like I was so impressed by it that I was like, I need to watch this again. And you need to watch this again. And you pick up something different every time you watch it. And you're more hyped and you're more stoked, but you're still not even slightly spoiled on anything. You don't know when any of these scenes are going to happen in the movie, like we talked about earlier. You have no idea. You're like, this could be at the end. This could be at the beginning. This could be in the first 10 seconds of the movie. So based on sheer technicality, I think that is when a trailer, in my opinion, succeeds, is when it gives you so much without giving you anything. Yeah. And that, to me, is how I feel about the Infinity War trailer. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie yet. I've seen it. So it's like tough to say at this point. But I don't know. I have to give it to Infinity War. I'm
on the it side because I'd already seen what the Russo brothers could do. So it was nice to see them do it more with these characters. Yeah. And it was incredible. And I shot out of my chair the first time I watched it, was just clapping. But with it, I didn't know what to expect. It was an unknown quantity. Could they get this right the way it should be done? And the first time Pennywise is like, I lost my mind. So I was like, that's the one that made me go. I would have not gone, I think, if the trailer hadn't been so incredible.
I have a related side question.
Okay.
Has the Marvel Universe, especially with Infinity War, gotten to that level of like Star Wars trailers, where Star Wars trailers, right, they don't show anything like you mentioned, but the anticipation is already big enough that now you just have to show these sequences. You don't have to tell anything about the story or anything. Has Marvel gotten to that level?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Absolutely. I think, you sell the Marvel's brand. That's why I think you go back to Guardians of the Galaxy, why it opened huge and looked so fascinating, was that by then the Marvel brand was so strong that you're able to go, I'm in. Talking raccoon, talking tree, I'm in. Doesn't matter. You're going to see this thing no matter what. Where there are trailers like it that have to convince you because you might have a pop-out clown from a sewer that doesn't do it for you. You really have to find that balance of scares and character, and that's why the It trailer worked a little best. But yeah, it's a great point, Dennis. Marvel trailers drop, like Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer, when that dropped, like we're all in. We're like, oh, now I want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's the Marvel brand now, like Star Wars, that we're going to get excited.
I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, are we being too hard on Pacific Rim? Because we're failing to remember that maybe the hype is so strong for Marvel already. It's just the built-in audience. Regardless, they don't even have to show us anything. Like Star Wars, like they don't have to show us anything. They could show us a black screen and then put a star on it and be like, yes.
Oh my God, is that Broom Boy?
Yeah, we're like, what does this mean? What does this mean for Luke Skywalker? What does the star mean? So like, you know what I'm saying? So like, as soon as we finished that topic, I did really think about that in my head. I was like, oh, I'm totally forgetting that like, for people like me who know zero things about Pacific Rim, other than literally hearing the two of you nerd out about it, and you as well, like maybe Marvel is at that level where it's like they can put like 30 seconds of something that makes zero sense, and we're just like, yes. You know?
I think their track record is so strong that's why. You don't have the backlash or the bitterness that we're seeing now with Star Wars stuff. We don't have the prequels that some people use as a reason that makes them scared about Star Wars movies or more prone to not like a Star Wars trailer or we don't have that with Marvel yet. And so for right now, I think we are where you're saying, Dennis. We are where we see it and we're excited and we're good. But we'll see what happens in the future. So hopefully it stays that way. Kevin Feige might be leaving soon. So we never know. We never know. We got these phases, so we'll see. Well, thanks everybody for joining us here on Collider Movie Talk. Spending your Friday with us. We really appreciate it. Let's go around the table real quick before we end to see where everybody can find you. Dennis.
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to plug again. Tomorrow, downtown Los Angeles, we have the details on our Facebook page, our Twitter. Instagram, Twitter. Check it out. You can see it right there. Yeah. Tomorrow, 2:30. I would suggest getting there early because you have to wait, not in a long line, but a line just to get in to see all the cool costumes. And you want to get in there early because you want to take pictures with the costumes and take pictures on the throne. We will be there having a special Black Panther movie talk there where we talk about the film and then also interview the costume designer. You can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on Instagram, Dennis.tzeng, and I'll be at that event tomorrow.
Sinead?
I'm online at Sinead DeVries and at that, so Sinead.blog. Really quick, you guys, I took the elevator yesterday with Christoph Waltz. I totally forgot to tell you.
What? Oh my God, how was that?
Oh, it was so dope. Like, I can't even explain it to you. I was running. I literally almost ran him over because I was like, why is this man taking so long to get to the elevator? So I ran past him and I literally was like, But we exchanged a few words inside the elevator. It was great. His accent, he's just the coolest guy ever. But that's
where
my
you
story.
running to? Where are you running to?
That's great.
I'm at Reilly Around on Twitter and Instagram. And yes, I will be at the Black Panther event tomorrow in downtown LA. So hope to see a bunch of you there.
That's right. I will be as well. You can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And please stay tuned to all the stuff coming up here in Collider. Take your weekend, watch all our videos, catch up on all the stuff we got going on. We got so much more coming out starting next week with Black Panther stuff. So go and enjoy your weekend. Have a great time. Watch our stuff, and we'll see you next week. And enjoy your holiday.
Yay.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.